Hi, how you doing? Sorry about the wait there. Hopefully you guys were able to get some breakfast or something. Hi, I'm TJ. This is Cooper, I think.
Yes, Cooper.
Hi, Cooper. Hi. And you can go ahead and let him go,
Okay.
so that way we can see to the extent of like his behaviors. The extent of his behaviors during the evaluation.
Okay. You just want me to like let him
Yep.
like off the leash completely, or just?
Oh no, just
okay.
like just try not to like micromanage him.
Oh,
I
okay,
guess.
gotcha.
So that way we can see what he's like.
What are you like, buddy? What are you like?
So he seems pretty friendly.
Yeah, he's definitely friendly. He just wants to give lots of kisses.
Are you usually able to control the jumping when prompted, or no?
No.
Okay.
No.
Gotcha.
Yeah. He's knocked quite a few kids down at the dog park. So.
Oh, poor guy.
He just
Oh yes, I see. Okay. You're just like a big puppy, aren't you?
He is.
Gotcha.
Yeah, 10 months. 10 months this weekend.
Oh, happy birthday, bud. I'll have to do something to celebrate. What do you think?
I smell your
I
treat.
smell
Oh, you found it. We got the nose working. Hi, how you doing? Good. So there's Dad.
Hey, buddy. So good to get out of the car. Stretch your legs. He's like, where are we? What are we doing? Could you stretch your legs? Good boy.
So the main thing during drop-off is just trying to go over as many of the things that way I can see that you're having difficulties with. Some things that we might not be able to showcase, like counter surfing, I'll be able to kind of check out on my own.
Okay.
And then things like recall. So leash chewing, and then I saw that you had to pick up the popsicle. Is it because?
He'll eat everything.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
He'll eat everything.
Yeah.
And stuffy, he'll eat everything. He'll eat
Yeah,
everything.
it doesn't really matter what it is. He'll eat it.
Gotcha. So
it's
what
definitely-
we'll do a test here real
Okay.
quick. So right, just put that there. So go ahead and ask him to leave it.
Cooper, leave it. Leave it. Cooper.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So you would have to like physically
Yeah.
restrain him from getting to things instead of him being able to like listen. Gotcha. That's pretty normal as far as puppies go.
Okay.
Because we have to work on usually a lot of like impulse control.
Yeah.
You can go ahead and grab that for him. And patience and obedience. So a lot of that will be like teaching him certain commands and then actually getting him the practice that he needs so that way he can execute those things.
Okay.
That way we don't have to micromanage as much, which can be difficult at first. Does he have any allergies?
He's very sensitive stomach. Nothing that I would say has been identified 100%, but he's got a very sensitive tummy.
Gotcha.
And I have a whole bag of treats and stuff for you that he's been using. And
Let's get one of those then.
Yeah.
Do you know if he's sensitive to chicken?
No, he's not.
Okay.
That's what his food is.
Oh, okay, perfect.
chilly up here.
Yeah.
Cold.
It was really hot the other day, so. Okay. Let's see what he's like. Oh, there you go.
He's like, I know what that is, Grandma. I know what that is. Can you sit?
Oh, good job.
Thank you. Good boy.
There you go.
Here, I'll give you those.
All right.
Good boy. Good boy.
Hi, big guy. Come. Okay. Good job. Okay. Yeah, usually with labs, they're pretty easy to train because they like food. we got an escapee. What do you think, big guy?
It's like, I want to play with it.
It's like, I'm that guy's size.
So while he's fixated, I want you to call his name once and
Okay.
see what he does.
Cooper.
Gotcha. Okay.
He's very, very stubborn.
Okay.
And
Like,
if he
what?
has
You don't want to
a
come this
goal,
way?
It doesn't matter what your goal is. You have to then physically.
Yeah. Like with this
What?
and not wanting to move.
Right.
This is all the time.
Oh man, you got quite the grocery list of things to work on, huh? He's like, no, I want to go this way. Come on, let's go this way. Come on. He's like, no. So I could see too, like being used to fighting against the leash pressure as opposed to just like complying with it. How are your walks like normally here? I'll give you the leash back, and we'll just try to go for like a normal walk around the around the neighborhood here. Do you usually have treats on you with your walks?
I don't.
Okay.
When he was a puppy, yes.
Okay.
But
And did you just like wean off of it because he was doing better, or just...
yeah, for a while he was doing really good. Like we were going on hour-plus walks and doing good, and then he went to doggy daycare and stopped going to his crate and stopped walking like completely.
Huh, that's weird. You got a taste of freedom and you just couldn't go back, huh, bud? Well, is that what happened? All right, here, we'll just go for a little bit of a walk and we'll see what it looks like. And was there anything else that you can think of that, you guys have issues with on a daily basis?
The crate.
Okay.
So right now he is deathly afraid of the crate.
Gotcha.
But he used to not be.
Here, we'll
Like,
walk and
no.
talk so that way we can kind of
He's
sit
been
both.
crate trained his whole life, right? So from the beginning, and she never had an issue until doggy daycare, where he, I think, deemed it as punishment there.
Aw.
Because they would put them in timeouts, like if there was getting rowdy, and then they had to physically manhandle him to get in there. He wouldn't just go in after he figured out.
Gotcha. So that
doing this, so then that had reverted.
right.
as
That
well
makes it
to
almost
home.
more traumatic when you like
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
physically
Very.
force them to. Yeah.
Yes, and it's traumatic now, but we have to physically put him in there because he's a destroyer.
Gotcha.
So you
Yeah,
can't.
one day I couldn't get him in the crate. I had to go back to work and left him out, and he like destroyed everything in our living room.
Gotcha. Think it's just because of boredom, or do you think
No one's
was
paying attention
just,
to
like,
him.
like anxiety
He
wise?
wants to be around people. He wants someone to be in the room with him.
Okay.
But he's definitely anxious. Like
Yeah.
everything,
Yeah,
he's
very-
a very scaredy cat.
Oh.
Like he's kind of scared of that camera you have, I think. You know what I mean?
Right.
That just worries him.
He's got to get used to a lot of new things.
Yes.
And he doesn't have any siblings at home, I take it, to play
Not
with?
so Ella lives up here,
Okay.
Yeah.
and he
in Arlington.
when he started to try to bite her, putting him in the crate,
Uh-huh.
we went and got him
Okay.
and brought him home to grandma's and
Oh.
grandpa's.
We live down in Hampton and
And
we have two
so-
other dogs.
Okay.
And we
Does he seem to do better when he has other playmates and
Yes.
stuff?
Absolutely.
It's pretty normal too.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he seemed a lot better at their house. Than,
He's a lot
but
more
he's
relaxed.
also outside of the crate way more at
Right.
their house than he was at mine.
Gotcha. So a big part of it will be trying to get him comfortable with being alone or engaging on like in his own activities. Yeah, that could be really difficult for puppies. Luckily with them while they're here, they'll be having like their own full day because it's almost like boot camp / summer camp.
Yeah.
And so when it is their own personal time to like rest and relax, they're more receptive to it because they're actually tired because they've been running around,
Well,
right?
that's-
Whereas a lot of times if most of their day is empty and then you want it to be more empty, you're like,
It's tough.
yeah,
Well, and it definitely, like her schedule, she gets up, walks in the morning,
Okay.
right? Then he goes in the crate. Her roommate was taking him out at lunch
okay.
until he became difficult to manage. And
So he's
then-
got like a long stretch between
Yeah.
interactions.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, two.
Extremely long.
Yeah,
And then overnight.
yeah.
Overnights, hopefully, usually isn't too bad of a problem, but
No.
she'll,
especially if he's napping during the day to kill time too, then
Yes.
sometimes they'll be more active at night because they don't have to sleep. because they
Right.
got plenty of sleep when they had nothing to do during the day.
Right. And then she would come home, take him to the dog park for
There you
2
go.
hours,
Yeah.
take a nice walk,
There you go.
and then,
Be-
of course, it's bedtime again. But,
Right.
So I think that's why he's doing better at our house, because he's
getting-
not in the crate until nighttime,
Right.
right? And he's entertained,
And he sleeps like a normal dog now. Like every
Yeah.
hour, he'll be up playing for an hour and a half, and then he's crashed out a little bit.
Gotcha. Okay.
what you think, Coop? We're talking about you.
So pros and cons of these kind of issues is that, it'll be easy for me to not have those problems because of like the daily activities and stuff. But what we'll have to do goal-wise is figure out what are the best like bang for the buck ways that we can get him tired, we can
Yeah.
get him like mentally exhausted.
Mhm.
So that way, because you have less time,
Mhm.
it might still be a little bit painful, but you might have to wake up like another half hour or an hour earlier
Yeah.
than you need to, so that way you can do a few more things with him before you leave and
Okay.
before he has to go in the crate.
Yeah.
We'll have to try to find some sort of compromise, I feel like,
Yeah.
to help with like that transition. And the goal for me is to try to find good ways that he can actually be comfortable by himself, for an extended period of time, like
Right.
kind of slowly building up to it, as opposed to it happening all at once, which can, make it very awkward and uncomfortable for them, and it's really hard for them to get used to that. It'd be like a lot of the times when parents, especially during COVID, they were at home all the time with their pups,
Yeah.
and their pups got used to it, and then they had to leave for like 8 to 10 hours,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
It's a big adjustment.
yeah.
Well,
So
and
it,
I think
it can be
too,
difficult for sure.
for him now, like, and she's very regimented and routine with her, with his exercise and stuff. But now he's got a play toy with Whiskey, who's 4 months old, right?
Oh, that's
And
perfect.
a Shih Tzu who's 10. So, so he definitely is expending a lot more energy, which I think has helped with his anxiety, obviously.
Yeah.
And we've talked,
Sometimes it's hard to tell too, because they're puppies, if it's actually anxiety or if it's just a child not wanting to be alone, right? Because
Right.
especially for these guys, meant to be like pack animals and,
Yeah.
and be family oriented, especially this breed, and be like engaged and around people.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm hitting
Oh,
sorry.
okay. So
Well, and he also
it might be normal stuff.
right. I mean, and the vet has started him. We started him on this. I brought it with us. It's a something Zyclean. Have you heard of it? It's like a
There's usually a couple popular ones
yeah.
that
It's
they'll
a
do.
cow. It's some sort of cow hormone or something that a cow gives off. I don't know, but it's supposed to help with anxiety. And we've been doing that since he's been here.
What are you doing, Gracie?
At our house, and that has I don't know if it's helping, but I have it and we've been using it, and
I mean, he's
He
I
is
think it
Relaxing him
is
a
yeah,
little bit more.
he's definitely calmer because he's definitely he's not a toy. Like, I want to play with this toy. I want to destroy this toy.
Destroy a toy. Look at him
But
grabbing.
some pups are just like that too. So giving them proper things to destroy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Super.
Yeah. And that could be difficult because it's like one of those expenses that you just have to kind of
Oh yeah.
calculate in, like on a weekly basis, but actually like teaching him this is okay to destroy and this is not okay to destroy is something that we can start trying to work on as well. But sometimes it doesn't stick completely or transfer all the way, and the main thing is we'll have to kind of teach you guys or show you how to do that.
Yes.
So a good example would be like I had one client whose puppy absolutely loved her shoes.
Sure.
So, teaching them to leave the shoes as well as teaching her to put shoes in the closet.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And then when she gets a new pair, understanding that,
That's something.
yeah, we understand that that's also shoes that should be left alone, but sometimes with dogs, it's like, oh no, that's a new toy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So teaching her the process of how to leave things alone,
Right.
as opposed to just blankets, don't touch anything, which
Yeah.
is going to
Oh, no,
be
that's
almost
not realistic.
impossible.
Right. Well, and I think for her, like in our mind, for him, okay, we know he has to be in the crate when she's gone at work, right? But could he be just in her room at night without the crate being closed? Would he not destroy? Like, would he even try to sleep, or would he just feel like, I've got the freedom and I just want to roam? You know?
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I think that would give him time out and expending.
Right.
What'd you think, buddy? Say,
He's like, I
he's
want those.
such a lover. He is a sweet. He's a very sweet boy.
Hi. Boy.
He has shown some resource guarding early on, but I will say that he's been better. Like, now Whiskey can come up and share the bowl.
Yeah,
of food
Whiskey will
with
eat
him,
right out there with him.
and he
That's
is not
good.
giving a growl or giving a.
Yeah.
Now toys, sometimes he would resource guard as well.
Sticks at the dog park.
Sticks
No
at the
other
dog
dogs
park.
can touch that.
Yeah.
So teaching him to share too.
Yes, is
Yeah.
definitely important.
Now, would you say, like, on a scale of like 1 to 10, 1 being, he'll just leave it and the other dog will be able to take it, and 10 being like if another dog comes close to him when he has a stick, that he'll drop the stick and attack the other dog?
No.
How bad would you rate his possessiveness?
Not attacking. It's just like a little growl, and then but he does like to go up to another dog and like put it in their face so that they can both hold on to it.
Okay. Like playing tug?
Yes. So he's fine with that, but no attacking or
He
anything.
wants to share, but he doesn't want to give it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. That. Yeah.
Okay.
And if
He
so
just wants
I'll
to play.
Yeah, I mean, he does. And like with us now, like if Whiskey, our puppy, goes and gets a toy, he is like, no, I'm going to have that toy. And he comes immediately and takes it.
Gotcha.
Now, he may not even want to play with it,
Right.
but he doesn't want her to have it. But he's not aggressive. He'll just be like,
Yeah.
oh, I got it.
Yeah.
And I'm going
Gotcha.
to bring it over here.
Alright.
And then drop it.
And then drop it, and then
Pick
she'll go
another
get
dog.
it again. I mean, she's so patient and kind.
Over and over again.
You're right.
So good and bad, just because it'll be one of those things that, like, we have to teach him those boundaries and we have to teach him how to share, because he's not going to naturally take the initiative to do it, and he naturally wants to take things that are being possessed by others.
Yeah.
Luckily, in the case of your other pup, that's fine. It's not going to get him in trouble, but it's because of that temperament.
Yes.
But we still want to teach him good social manners,
Yeah,
right? And so if
right.
like another dog is playing with something, he actually learns to respect that.
Right.
At first, we're going to need to be the ones to guard that other toy for the other dog, so
Okay.
he gets the idea, and then
Okay.
eventually, hopefully it transfers through to him actually doing that with a little bit of help, right?
Right. That's just his white hairs.
I
He's
know,
got
I'm looking
internet
at it.
specs.
That's funny.
They're all over.
Getting old already, huh, the guy?
Yeah. Right.
It
He's
looks like
even-
you rubbed up against some paint. If you didn't
Yeah.
get down and look at it, but then
And
you
then I
see here.
think,
He's even got some elbows showing already too.
yeah, he does, definitely. He, but he, like, when he's playing, like, even at the dog park, he's a big go for your neck and play. Don't you think, Ella?
Yeah, but I think he's learned that at the dog park, because every other dog is let me grab your collar or your harness.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let me grab.
he takes
he's
our
definitely
dog
a collar
and takes her by
grabber.
the collar and
Play, yeah.
shakes her.
Yeah.
Not mean.
It's good and bad, because you'll generally want him with like weighted
yeah.
other pups, so
Yeah.
he doesn't accidentally hurt them
Yeah.
right during the play. And then it's just one of those things where, like, if he had similar siblings or like a more confident smaller pup
Yeah.
to correct him when he was too rough,
Yeah.
that's generally how they would learn to like restrict themselves or restrain themselves a little
Yeah.
bit more.
Well, I'll tell
Um,
you, he is restrained with our 10-year-old Shih Tzu.
There you go.
Because
Yeah,
scared to
exactly.
death
He's
of the
scared
Shih
to
Tzu.
death of Tank.
Yeah.
Because Tank, from the beginning, when Cooper
really
was
mean to him.
really
Send
mean
it
to
to
him,
Alpha in front
he
of
was
this
like,
guy.
I am in control.
Right, and it's really good for puppies to learn those boundaries from their peers, right? Because if they don't, that means we have to teach it to them as
Right.
well, right? So then you end up being their mom, you end up being their best friend, you end up being their teacher, you end up being their policeman.
Yeah.
It's like a lot that goes into developing a well-rounded pup.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
So the goal is to see what part of that needs strengthening, right? I feel like the mom and the friend side is probably more than okay, and maybe like more of like the authority figure
Yeah.
needs a little bit of.
That's where we need.
That's
That's
yeah.
where he needs to
He
work.
needs some
Yeah.
training.
Because
Yeah.
he'll listen to them
There you go.
10 times more than he listens to me.
Yeah, and that's just about being respectful too. It's not always just about being like dominant or alpha and all
Yeah.
that stuff, but it's about like a mutual respect for things, like jumping into somebody else's space. You know, he has to understand that sometimes people don't want that.
Yeah.
Right.
And we have to try to relay that message through and get him to acknowledge it and then have his own self-discipline, so that way you're not always like no, down, off,
Right.
things like that.
Right. Well, because I know we've been doing a lot of watching videos to like try to figure out for me, because if he jumps on me, I mean, he's hurting me.
Right.
And so I'm like turning. Not even, and that has really made a difference.
That's
I
good.
think, where he is now in the morning time, like this morning, he was like super happy, but he restrained himself from jumping until I opened the gate. Because before he would just jump into the gate, and I moved it, and then he was like, "Oh, well, that's free reign," you know. So I feel like he is so teachable, and
Yeah.
he is a very smart dog.
Yeah.
Too smart.
Yeah.
Because then he figures out your routines, and then, you know, he's like, "Oh, you're putting whiskey in the crate? Well, that means I'm next."
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and then he
Won't
won't
show up.
come and won't show up at the back door.
Aw. Yeah. It reminds me of like my husky,
Yeah.
and it's a good lesson overall for a lot of people, but for the intelligent breeds, the ones that, you know, are stubborn, things like that, it's because, you know, they want to do something different than what we want to do. So what ends up happening is we try to force them, and it doesn't really, that kind of training doesn't usually go over very well unless you know, really go over the top with the force, or corrections and things like that. But I find to be really helpful for a lot of intelligent breeds is trying for us to just be more intelligent about it. Like, if I wanted my husky, or if I wanted him to follow me and he wants to go that way, how can I get him to want to do what I want him to
Yeah.
do, as opposed to just brute forcing things? But we end up brute forcing a lot of things because, like, you know, during the walk,
Yeah.
because we can't get his attention, we
Yeah.
can't get him to want to walk with
Right,
us, or we
right.
get him to refocus. So trying to find like good motivators and to help him to establish good habits to get him to do what we want him to do
Yeah.
would be a big
Because
Big part of
definitely
it, I
the force
think.
doesn't work for him.
No.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
We've seen it too.
Unfortunately, that what ends up happening too, he gets used to the force, and so then you have to put more force.
Right.
And then he gets used to struggling through that, and then you
Yeah.
have to do
Yeah.
more force.
Well, he got to the point where I was picking him up and carrying him to the crate,
Oh,
and I was like, I can't keep doing that.
Yeah.
You know, he's too heavy.
Yeah.
Almost 90 pounds.
yeah,
And
we
I
got
can't do it, period.
we got to
so-
try to figure out a way to get him to want
Yeah.
to go into the
Yeah.
crate
Now,
again.
the last 2 times we took him, he walked straight in without
There you go.
resistance.
That's good.
Except
You had
I had him by, you know, I had him like
Yeah,
a
right.
handful right here, and we walked,
and I had
Oh.
treats
and she was
my
in front of
hands.
him with treats, and so he followed that. Right?
Gotcha.
So we were getting smarter than you, and
Are we, though?
you were, well, we were
We're
creating,
trying. We're trying to get
Figure,
started.
figure something out, right? Yeah.
but I don't want to have to pick you up anymore, buddy. It's just too much. They can't do it.
No, I can do it.
I was doing it. I started fighting around.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
got crazy eye boogers.
Always.
Yeah.
Always, always.
And
It does look.
he was, so this is very interesting too. So when we were on the Phil Science diet for Puppy, he was not interested in his food at all.
No interest.
And we
Oh.
have changed his food. and he is like eating like a horse.
That's good.
Which
Yeah,
is-
sometimes they just don't like certain things too.
Yeah, and it was so interesting because he wasn't food motivated. Like, not that, you didn't think that he was food motivated, but he is motivated.
Yeah.
I was gonna
He
say,
didn't like
usually
food.
labs love
Oh,
anything,
yeah.
So I have ham. I bought you a pound of ham because that's a high reward treat for him. And then we have some Greek yogurt because he likes his pup cup,
yeah.
right? So
At least we found things that work well with his stomach that he likes, so
Yes,
that way
definitely.
we can try to utilize those as good positive incentives during
Yes.
training. And let me see here. So I'll take the leash, and I want you guys to just start walking away,
Okay.
and we'll see what he does. Right?
hey, buddy, we're right here. What do you think? He's like, what?
No. Nope, Dad's coming to get me. Walk away.
Right. So good thing is that it's more indicative of a normal bonded puppy than like separation anxiety.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those cases, as soon as they start going away, they'll start pulling, they'll start crying, they'll be like
Those
more
people.
more anxious. There you go. So that was pretty normal because
Separation anxiety.
yeah, that was pretty normal because he wanted to be with you guys,
Yeah.
but it wasn't killing him.
Yeah.
Right? And then as soon as you saw here, he got close again, and it's like, okay, well, I'm
You're not
good.
going anywhere.
Now I don't
You're
have
not
to.
going anywhere.
Yeah.
As long as it's
Right.
on my terms.
Mhm. Yeah.
We didn't go anywhere.
So that's
Go.
so that's good. Like I said, I'll probably do some more testing just to make sure that he's not just destroying the place because he's anxious and alone,
Okay.
right? But don't want to spend too much time on that too. A lot of it will be trying to prioritize the things that'll be the most important for you guys, but also see what we can actually make the most progress with in the least amount of time too, because you don't want to spend like 2 or 3 or 4 days on getting him in the crate and then only have like a week left for like walking behaviors.
Yeah.
So most of the time we'll be able to do multiple things at the same time, sometimes not too. So it just really depends on the exercises and the training, because some things can be wildly different, right?
Right.
So like recall and then being left alone.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Do you guys have anything else for me? If you think of anything,
Look at the
yeah. If you think of anything, you can always just let me know. Come on, Becca. Good boy. Come
So we
here.
had crate walking with the knot, like pulling and stopping,
Good job.
jumping, instructor chewing, and basically just like listening.
Okay.
Yeah. So we covered it all.
Boy.
Okay. All right. Well, what I'll let you guys do that morning. So we're here working with Cooper. We're going to start with both name recognition as well as some leash pressure practice. He was able to find a break in the rain here. We've got some of his favorite treats on us and just got him on his original setup. Sometimes harnesses like his are really good because he's a big guy, right? If he doesn't know how to respond properly to pressure, if we're just putting a ton of pressure on his neck, it could be bad for him and he could get used to it just like everything else. With the harness, it spreads that force across his chest, and sometimes that could be beneficial, sometimes it can be detrimental. If he's pulling, there's nothing really to make him uncomfortable, right? Because he's spreading that force across a much larger surface area of his body. The same note though, that force and that pressure can be felt more than just around his neck. So it just depends on how sensitive he is or how much he's learned to ignore the leash pressure. What we're gonna do first, just get a treat ready. And as soon as he starts to pull too hard, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna try to just go in one general direction. So we're walking here, and as soon as he hits the end, good boy. Okay, so once again, hitting the end, good boy. Hit the side there, good. Covered back in. Try to keep the leash as loose as possible. We're only moving forward whenever there's no pressure on the leash. Whenever there is tension on the lead, we pause for a second. Good boy. Yes. Okay, so that was really good there because when we pause because of the leash pressure, he looked back at us. Now, that's not always going to happen in the beginning because right here, you can see he's more interested in chewing other things, checking other things out. And so he ignores the pressure this time that he feels and pulls towards whatever it is that he wants to get towards, right? Like right here. Right. And it's at this point that he starts to just get used to and overriding the pressure to get to whatever he wants. And that's why sometimes it can be really helpful as soon as that pressure starts to happen, that trainers add in an additional force or a moment of impact. Good boy. He actually did it himself that time because he was just moving so fast. So now I'm gonna offer him a higher value treat to see if he comes back and checks in on me. He's just gonna lay down and maybe get some grass. We'll see if he actually knows that I have it. There you go. So now he has an idea. There it goes. Good boy. Right? The reason why I want him to come to me as opposed to me having to pull him right now is because for much of his past experience, I feel, has been like everybody forcing him back or into or forcing him to do things in general, and want to try to see if he would appreciate and maybe learn better if he actually got to do things himself. Doesn't mean I'm gonna let him do whatever, right? So if he starts to pull, I'm just gonna hold until he releases that pressure. Then if he checks in, comes back, as a reward, right? And so this is another kind of side effect, right? When a pup wants to go somewhere and then they can't, just like children, they get frustrated, they give up, and then they're like, well, if I can't do what I want to do, then I'll just sit here and wait until you make me do something else, right? So because there's no pressure, I'm going to start walking. And when I start walking, that pressure is going to build again. And now he has to release it by coming to me, right, to catch up. Once again. Okay. Okay. We're just trying to make it so he has to acknowledge that pressure, whether he's checking in, going a different direction, stopping from pulling forward. Usually he's at least pausing under that pressure, and sometimes just seeing which other way that he can go, right? Unless, like the other time before, he's too distracted or wants to get to something, in which case he forgoes the pressure altogether. Right? So he immediately feels the pressure forward and then starts to just go to a different direction. Right? Here, he's got pressure on, but he's just bypassing it to get to whatever he wants, which is just the grass over there, instead of acknowledging the pressure, coming back for the treat. Right? So it lets us know that either he's too used to not doing things on his own, or that he's already forgotten that we have something of better value for him, and he just has to come to us. Good boy. So just reminding him there. It's got to be better than grass, big guy. Good boy. So once again, pressure on. He checks in. Good boy. Gonna mark. Offer him a reward for coming back to me. And start to try to build a good positive association with the pressure. Right now, the association with the pressure is either non-existent. I start applying some pressure since I'm walking this way towards the poo station. And it's actually just resisting against it, right? Now at this point, what most people would do is just add additional pressure. Another side effect of having a harness, depending on how they fit, you can easily kind of slip or back out of it, right? If too much pressure is applied one way, and it's mostly designed to hold him with pressure going the other way, like when he's pulling forward, right? I'll remind him that I have a treat. Now I want him to focus on me and follow me for a minute to get rewarded by the treat. Okay. So yeah, definitely some pretty negative associations with the leash pressure. You know, it's pretty much just something that's holding him back from whatever he wants to get to. Right? And try to reprogram that a little bit as best we can. A lot of things with Cooper seems to just need some reconditioning. He's still pretty young, which is good. He's still kind of flexible, but it's much like working with an older pup who's already predisposed for certain behaviors. You actually have to work extra because you have to not only go against what his normal habits and behaviors are, but then get him to create new, better ones for him and his family. We're gonna try a couple more times. Good boy. Good job. Here. Good boy. So when he follows me and focuses for a while, yes, good. He'll get a treat, right? We don't need any pressure, which is perfect. But I waited until I lost his attention, and then he voluntarily gave it back to me, and then I gave him a reward, right? I want to try to get him to do as much of the work as possible for the reward, as opposed to constantly prompting him. We're still prompting him a lot just because of the leash pressure, right? But the more that he just focuses up on me, good boy, the more I want him to feel rewarded. Good job. There you go. And because we're trying to condition/recondition a new behavior, I'm going to reward pretty much every time right now, right, to try to rebuild a good positive association. Good boy. I'm always marking. Good boy. And then maybe after the second or third time that he does it, he'll get a reward. Just getting sidetracked here by the signs. Checks back in. Good boy. Very good. Good job. All right. So it's as easy as that, big guy. Okay. You just focus on me. You follow where I'm going. You don't pull on the leash, and you get a treat. Or you can eat a napkin. Good boy. Good drop. So pretending like we have a treat to help get him to drop whatever is in his mouth, and then marking and then rewarding him with the treat afterwards. Right? Getting him to do things as much as we can on his own accord is going to be really important. Right? Less work on his owner's part, more rewarding, especially since he doesn't like being forced. Right? More rewarding on his part. Gets to voluntarily offer his focus, his work ethic, and he gets rewarded for it. Water break. Good boy. So he was about to go forward there towards bird. Stopped and acknowledged. Appreciate it. Can I turn this way? Oh. Here, starting to build up pressure again. Yes, good boy. Perfect, right? Feels the pressure, acknowledges it, comes back, refocuses, gets a reward. Feels the pressure, acknowledges it, comes back, refocuses, gets a reward. Good boy. Good job. Now, some may see this as him being rewarded for when he pulls, right? And it is, because he's making pressure. But we're actually rewarding him for refocusing after the pressure and maintaining that focus. Good boy. Because the weather is nice and cool because of the rain, I'm gonna be out here for probably at least an hour going through these things. I'm not gonna make the whole video that long because there's gonna be a lot of this right now, which is really good. But before we end the first session, we're gonna throw in some name recognition work. Okay? So all we do is reward him for refocusing. This time I'm gonna let him know, of course, that I have a treat. I'm just gonna purposely wait until he's distracted or not paying attention. I'm gonna say his name, and then if he refocuses off of that, I'm gonna mark it and reward it. Good boy. Cooper. Yes, good job. Perfect. Good. One thing that we're looking for when we're trying to reward for his name, good job, this way, is we're gonna also try our best to make sure that the leash isn't tight, right? Because then we don't know for sure if he's responding off of his name or the leash pressure. Like a lot of times people will always combine the two, right? They'll pull on the leash and say his name at the same time to try to get his attention, get him to refocus. But we really want to try to develop both, right? So that's why we're separating it. It's better to see what he's actually responding to. It just makes it more clear. And then also in the future, it'll let us know what we need to focus our efforts on, right? Especially for things like recall, you're gonna need him really well developed in that verbal acknowledgement. Whereas for normal everyday walking, you just need him to have a really developed leash pressure. Cooper. Yes, good boy. Good job, big guy. Okay. Yes, good job. Good boy. Good. Trying to get him to reset, come back to me, focus for a while, and then get rewarded. Because what ends up happening is after he gets rewarded, he's usually going to feel like the task is complete, right? He goes right back to walking at his normal speed, not focusing on me, right? Exploring his area. Yes, good boy. This way. Good boy. Later on, as he gets better about maintaining focus and slowing down and getting sensitive to the leash pressure, that's when we're gonna work on what we're doing now, is just extending that focus, right? Extending the behavior that he has to do until he gets rewarded for. Good boy, right? I don't think you're old enough for that, bud. Good boy. Good job. So that was really good, right? He started picking up the pace like usual, but instead of just passing me, he stopped beside me for a reward. Good job. Refocused. Cooper. Yes. Very good. Perfect. So try to catch his attention there using his name before the leash pressure, getting a very clear response and giving him a very clear response back, right? So right away, as soon as he refocuses, I let him know by marking that moment, saying, good boy, I appreciate him, and then following up that with a reward to really kind of emphasize that, you know, we appreciate it. You know, we're really acknowledging it, we're praising it, we want to reward it because we want it to repeat. Okay? Especially with puppies, the more that you reward the behavior that you want repeated, the more likely they are to repeat it. Right? Cooper. Yes, good boy. See a little bit of pause there, but then he checked back in. Right, good boy. Okay. Good boy, very good. Okay. Cooper. Yes, good boy. All right. So we're just gonna go ahead and continue this on. And go ahead and pause. Good boy. Say hi to your family.